Jamaica. Make we do the right thing. Make we live good today for a better tomorrow. Talk it out. Don't fight it out. The time by the Ministry of National Security is
6:30.
Good evening and welcome to Lead Story here on CVM TV. Not your usual start, but fret not, the way we start is only temporarily being nixed from the order of events. We are doing some great things with the studio here, and so we've had to do a sit-down start to facilitate those new arrangements being put in place to complement the new look and the fresh feel of the news and the presentation of other programs here on CVM TV. Today, though, on Lead Story, we're talking about the Integrity Commission and the appearance inside the Parliament of members of the Commission, all the directors, the Executive Director as well, Greg Christie, was in tow, along with key person, the Chairman Seymour Panton, retired Justice, leading the team as they sat and faced members of the Parliament's Integrity Commission Oversight Committee, a bipartisan selection of members from both both parties represented in the House of Representatives. So that's what we're going to talk about today here on Lead Story. My producer has dubbed what happened today as a showdown, and he is not wrong, because it is necessary to highlight the degrees to which certain things happen. What do I mean by degrees? The chairman of the Integrity Commission, retired Justice Seymour Panton, he was, in his mannerisms, in his contribution to the proceedings inside the House, he was pugnacious, yes? Meaning that he was very forthright in his responses, almost as if he was poised for a fight. And there were times when he almost as if he went into that zone where he wanted to approach the proceedings as if he was a man in battle, but he would pull that back with some light moments. You know, he's a very learned man, a very experienced man in the law and matters concerning significant interpretation is how I want to put it. And so he had the stagecraft down to a pat. He had it down pat, and so he stopped short of just being pugnacious. He didn't go into the zone of being bellicose in his interaction with the members who were asking questions of him, especially those on from the government side of the bipartisan committee that forms the Integrity Commission Oversight Committee. And I want you to pay attention, as we're going to play now for you, the opening remarks, a bit of the opening remarks from retired Justice Seymour Panton, the chairman of the Integrity Commission, and you will see what I mean about him being pugnacious but stopping just short of being bellicose. Bellicose, of course, being warlike. He wasn't that, but he wasn't far from it.
The commissioners have noted over the past couple of years that remarks have been made that the commission is partisan and that the commission, that there is malice in its operations. I'd just like to point out that the persons who made those statements know that it is not true. They know that we know it is not true. And they know that Jamaicans know that it is not true. There's a situation where 70% of the persons on the voters list do not vote. And it is startling that it could be suggested that the 5 commissioners happen to be partisan. So we reject that. In terms of our performance over the years, we have on record from no one higher than the Prime Minister that in 2020, he commended the Commission in our Anti-Corruption Day celebration. He said, under the leadership of Chairman, the Honorable Mr. Justice Seymour Panton, the Commission continues to distinguish itself, operating without fear or favor in pursuit of a just and corruption-free society.
He says, the chairman does, that those who would cause people to believe that the commission does what it does out of malice, out of partisanship, he says that they know it's not true. They know, the commission knows that it's not true. And they know that the people of Jamaica knows that it's not true. I would say to the honorable gentleman, retired Justice Seymour Panton, that perhaps he's not paying attention to what Jamaica has been saying. I don't know, and I don't think that the gentleman is plugged into social media. I know that he's a man who follows traditional media. But it's on social media where a broader cross-section of views, obviously because of what it is, coalesces compared to traditional media, which is limited in how many views it can put forward. It is there that he will see that a significant segment of the population believes that there is malice, that there is partisanship in the way the Integrity Commission does its job. And so I would suggest that it needs a stronger reasoning, not necessarily a rebuttal, but it needs a stronger argument laid out by retired Justice Panton to satisfy people that there is no malice, there is no partisanship in what the Integrity Commission does. Because his response would suggest that it's only, well, nobody believes that. People actually do, retired justice. Personally, I don't think there's any malice in how the Integrity Commission goes about its work. And I don't think there's any partisanship. But that's me. There are many like me, but equally, there are many who think otherwise. We'll hear more from retired Justice Panton at today's sitting of the Integrity Commission Oversight Committee on Lead Story after this break.
No more fear of missing out. CVM TV News is on YouTube. Get up-to-date news, sports, and business content at CVM TV News anytime, anywhere. Subscribe now to CVM TV News to see it happen.
That's me on the corner. People don't bother feel like you can predict who is going to be in the shop with me. A ship carry you back at controversial. How old were you?
8 years old.
Now we're contemplating. These are the digits. What kind of episode this one? Another junction in life.
I have 2 left foot then, sir.
Yeah, know. Yeah, man. See the buckle of the Nigel, you know. This is my show, and you will not drop word from me.
They even know them things.
TJ, I can't say that no. You're going to mash up some house.
You know, say barber shop is really there ready to make your cut.
So, what you cut before? The cut, okay.
Now I'm where I want to be.
The Cut is brought to you by Flow.
Welcome back. We're talking to you and presenting to you highlights of today's interaction between parliamentarians and members of the Integrity Commission. The chairman led his team down to the Houses of Parliament to sit and subject themselves to questions put forward by members of the Integrity Commission Oversight Committee. Retired Justice Seymour Panton led the Integrity Commissioners present. All the commissioners were present, saving for the Auditor General Pamela Monroe Ellis, who oversees on business, as relayed by Chairman Panton. Greg Christie, the Executive Director of the IC, was there, along with the Director of Investigations, Kevin Stevenson, and the Director of Information Complaints, Craig Beresford, and another Director, Ryan Evans. Now, Justice Panton, retired Justice Panton, Chairman of the Commission, as I said, he used, it's not comedy, but he used mirth. He injected mirth into his comments and into the interactions to take the edge off at crucial points. But he made his posture clear. If he was attacked, he would have responded. That's the posture he adopted based on my reading. That's why I'm saying he was pugnacious, but not bellicose. He said, there was this moment where he said that, look, for the fact that some of the parliamentarians in this House have said some unsavory things, my words, about the commission and imputed motive insofar as the commission's actions are concerned. Perhaps it's something here in the water at Gordon House that they're drinking. And he said that, look, so that he's not infected by the same thing, which causes him to speak out of turn, he traveled with his own water to the Parliament building.
I don't know if something is wrong with the water in Parliament, why some people, the moment they get into Parliament, they say certain things and behave a certain way. I don't know if that is it. As a result, I decided that I wasn't going to take the chance of drinking any water here. Another feature, Mr. Chairman, which I'm very serious about, is that because of what has been happening, I personally intend to see if I can meet with Senator Longmore, Doctor, to have a word with her, because it may well be that she needs to have a word with some members of the House.
Justice Panton says he's brought his own water to ensure that he's not afflicted with what seems to afflict some parliamentarians to cause them to speak out of turn. And then he said that the government senator, Sophia Longmore, a clinical psychologist, he would meet with her to ask her to have a word with certain parliamentarians because he just feels that their heads are not quite right. And he was very diplomatic in how he made that point, but the point is not missed by those of us who are right in lockstep with him in terms of what he is intending to say and what he is trying to say. Yeah, so here's what. Let's play now for you the chairman of the Integrity Commission Oversight Committee, Ed Bartlett, speaking to what he understands to be the frustrations expressed by parliamentarians who Chairman Panton would have said has spoken out of turn about the work of the Integrity Commission.
I heard your very extensive statement and the tenure tone of it, which gives concern to this chair, and I'm sure to the committee, and no doubt they will have some reactions to it, because we want to ensure that not just you, but the Commission understands that there is no determined effort to undermine or otherwise to stigmatize and or categorize any member in any negative or derogatory way. And that whenever we are aware of any such situation, that from the committee side, when we meet, we do have comments to make in that regard. The purpose of this meeting here today in particular is to further state the point of how symbiotic the relationship has to be between the Parliament and the Commission.
What we didn't hear in that is the chairman of the Integrity Commission, Seymour Panton, saying that, look, he was there subjecting himself to questions from the Parliament because he was granting a favor to the chairman of the Oversight Committee, Ed Bartlett, and as a favor to the Parliament, because as far as he's concerned, the legislation, the Integrity Commission Act, says clear that the Commission shall not be subject to the direction of any other body except the court. And so he doesn't have to be here. But it was said later in the proceedings that the Oversight Committee, shall submit itself to oversight from the Parliament. So I think that was a very important point that settled whether or not the Integrity Commissioners were there out of a favor or out of respect, or they were there by virtue of being mandated by the statute, mandated by the legislation. And I think we've settled the point that they're there not out of a favor to anybody, but because the legislation mandates that they be there to answer questions put to them by members representing the Parliament. More after this.
The time by Grace. Taste that moves you is
6:45.
Blessed love and greetings, guys. You don't know this is Mr. Kelly representing Food Hunter for Cooking with Love with Chef Simpson.
Alright guys, welcome to a brand new episode of Cooking with Love. And this week's episode changed up a little bit. We're in the soca world. And we have the big man himself right here in New York, manager on tour. Mr. Killer himself is in the building.
You can't go there. I ain't give the food to eat and I give the food to taste. You don't know, Mr. Kelly represents the Food Hunter for the Big Bad Cooking Show, Cooking with Love. You give me fever.
Welcome back to Lead Story. We're pouring over what happened today in that sitting of the Integrity Commission Oversight Committee inside Gordon House, where members of the Integrity Commission made themselves available to answer questions posed by members of the Integrity Commission Oversight Committee. That committee is a bipartisan committee made up of government and opposition members, and so they got the chance to ask questions directly of retired Justice Seymour Panton, the chairman of the Integrity Commission, and his colleague commissioners, and also the executive director of the Integrity Commission, Greg Christie. Now, Mr. Christie and Pernell Charles Jr., one of the members of the Oversight Committee, their exchange was perhaps the flashpoint, the major flashpoint out of today's proceedings. And here's what they crossed swords on. The issue of whether or not someone who's being investigated for illicit enrichment is told that in explicit terms. Actually, the question of what communication is sent to someone under investigation for illicit enrichment was originally posed by Julian Robinson, another member. And Julian Robinson asked very good questions today. He said, look, can you give a sample of the communication that is sent to someone who's under investigation for illicit enrichment? Yeah, because what is being sought after is whether or not you, the moment you become subject to an investigation for illicit enrichment, that you are told so in clear terms in any piece of correspondence sent to you by the Integrity Commission. Now, Julian Robinson originally put the question. It was handled by Kevin Stevenson, the Director of Investigations, but then later, Pernell Charles Jr. brought back the question to seek further clarity, and himself and Greg Christie, the Executive Director of the Integrity Commission, had an exchange over this very important issue.
It is perhaps important for me to gain clarity, because I am now not clear. Section 53(3), and let me read it. Until the tabling in Parliament of a report under Section 36, all matters under investigation by the Director of Investigation or any other person involved in such investigation shall be kept confidential. And no report or public statement shall be made by the Commission or any other person in relation to the conduct of this investigation. Now, I read the chairman's remarks, and I too noted
the sentence that said, of course, there's nothing to prevent declarants or persons under investigation from speaking on the situation as it relates to them. You can't tie somebody out. They can say what they want to say. But the real question is not whether they can say it. You can't stop me from saying what I'm saying right now. But if I say it, am I in breach of the confidentiality and the constraint that is affected by this section? That is what Jamaica needs to understand. Not whether somebody can talk, mouth make for talk. But if you talk, are you contravening this section? That is what the country needs to understand from the Integrity Commission.
Chairman, I'd just like to respond to what was just said. This law was not written by the Integrity Commission. It was written by the Parliament of Jamaica. And if there are flaws in the law which are creating different interpretations, I think that's a matter for the Parliament. That hat can't be placed on the Integrity Commission's head. It can't. We have already addressed the issue of conflicting interpretations. It is the responsibility of the country's lawmakers to make clear laws. And if we get into a situation, a pit, where we're, jumping over ourselves as to what this means and what that means, that's a matter for the Parliament to deal with. It can't be our responsibility.
No, 1 second.
It is a conversation that, Chairman, hold on. No, it cannot be that I ask a question, there's a response, and then we're going to move on. I would like an opportunity for the flow for me to respond. Now, Mr. Chairman, this is the second time that the Executive Director has responded to my question or comment in that way. He has made it clear now that the hat shouldn't be on his head in interpreting the law. Now, if the Executive Director of the Integrity Commission ought not to be called upon to interpret the law which is going to direct his function, who should? It is not only inappropriate, but I believe that response speaks to the stance of the Executive Director.
All right. So let me see if I can sum it up for you in case you missed it. The original question about when you are under investigation for illicit enrichment, what is said to you in communication from the Integrity Commission? The question asked by Julian Robinson, addressed by Kevin Stevenson. Perennial Charles Jr. picked up the question, and then he went further. That exchange you heard with him and Greg Christino was concerning the big issue of whether or not you are to say nothing about an investigation for illicit enrichment once it has begun and once it is underway. That is a crucial question because the opposition say the Prime Minister knew he was under investigation for illicit enrichment from 2023 and that he lied when he told the country that he, neither himself nor any members of his cabinet or any member in his party, in his government, in the parliament, on the government benches, was under investigation for illicit enrichment. That was the question that was the issue that the question sought to address of when you know, what can you say? And remember that the opposition leader has sought to tie the Prime Minister's hands into saying that, look, you knew that you are being investigated for illicit enrichment, you should have come and you should have told Jamaica that. And we asked you the question several times, you did not answer. What was being done by Perennial Charles Jr. was to say, hold on there. Doesn't the law say that once an investigation has been initiated and is ongoing, that the integrity commissioners shall not make any comment on it, neither shall any other person comment on it. So at one point in the proceedings, it was accepted that by neither the Integrity Commission nor any other person shall comment on a matter that is being investigated or is under investigation, the process continuing. It was accepted and settled that this means that nobody at all. But then the matter was raised again, and the chairman of the Integrity Commission, retired Justice Seymour Panton, said, look, even though the law says that, my personal interpretation of that is that it doesn't stop a person who's under investigation from commenting and saying whether they are under investigation or not. They are free to do so, which is what Colonel Charles Jr. now tried to say, okay, well, there's a conflict because you can't earlier say that nobody on the Integrity Commission nor any other person shall comment, and that's the law, and then come and say that, oh, but if the person under investigation wants to say that they are under investigation, they are free to do so. He was saying that the two things don't reconcile, and that's what they were trying to tie down. But Greg Christie was saying that, look, perhaps this is a result of flawed legislation, flawed lawmaking, while we are trying to interpret something. Colonel Charles Jr. was saying, no, the words are black and white. There's no ambiguity in the words. Greg Christie was saying, well, I interpreted it one way, and I'm siding with the chairman in terms of his interpretation of whether or not someone under investigation can say that they are. And they ended that exchange without coming to an agreement as to what would be the best way forward. There's just enough time to say that today's exercise was very useful, but I left the proceedings having way more questions than answers, and a very important point that was debated by Charles Jr. and Greg Christie. The issue of what does the law mean? If the law written in black and white says that neither the Integrity Commissioners nor any other person shall comment on an investigation once that investigation has been initiated and is underway, how then can there be anything in that to say, well, if the person under investigation wants to reveal that they are under investigation, they can. I need some definitive word on this, and perhaps that will come only out of the judicial review process that the Prime Minister and his attorneys have applied for, and maybe that will come out in the wash to give us guidance as to what to accept, what to interpret, what to read from the law as it is written on paper. So, good exercise today, but more questions than answers after the 2+ hours that the Parliament spent hosting members of the Integrity Commission today. A break for the news at 7. Nika is she's wearing red today, and she's standing by with the news at 7. Good evening, Nika.
Hi everyone, my name is Kurt Dunn.
Greetings from Kali's Kali Yoga.
Hey, it's Robin Morrison, and I am your National Physical Activity Specialist. And it's time to make a move.
Jamaica, let's get moving again. Season 2 of the Ministry of Health and Wellness Jamaica Move series is here. Join us Wednesdays at 5 a.m.